about poverty and thinking about gender, globally, you understand that when we say poverty, we're talking about 70% of those individuals are perhaps women. Our mothers, our daughters, our sisters. This is not a broad issue, this is a woman's issue. And in so much as it is a woman's issue, it is a human rights issue. And I was struck by Catherine McKinnon, philosopher and great thinker around human rights issues, and she says that human rights are women's rights. And there's a quote that I really like. She says, "What is done is either too specific to women to be seen as human or too generic to human beings to be seen specific to women." I'll give you a little time to figure that out. Give you a little time to figure that out. We are talking about some barriers that are entrenched. Patriarchy is not pointing the finger at men. We're talking about a structural inequity that men and women participate in. And women have bought into it because we raised the children. We support it hook, line, and sinker. We have all the goodies and we have commodified gender, pitting one woman against another, thereby leaving the very little morsels for very few women to have access to. I'm glad that we're in an educational setting, because when you think about this, and you think about your classroom students, you see mostly women, right? Most universities, I think we would say about 70%, are now seeing women across the board in their classrooms. But you know that when you complete your education, you are going to get paid less money. A high school male graduate would make $34,000 a year. A woman with an associate's degree would make $32,000 a year. If you factor in race, you are looking at Chicano women at the bottom. 39 cents to every dollar that a white male makes. So yes, we're getting access to education. You're also getting equal access to debt. That's where equality is how happening. Equal access to debt, but then when you come out, you have less ability to pay off the debt because your per capita income is less because of gender. Factor that in. We're also asked to do 2 jobs at a minimum. Before I came here, and I'm glad that my husband is here and he's taking care of our son, Wade, Mr. Jonez. He probably took Che out to go get some food. And I was in the grocery store and I came across one of our members from church, Reverend Howard. She said, "Well, don't you have a program to do?" I said, "Well, I have grocery shopping to do too." I said, "I don't know about the erudite men on the panel, but I got to do this job." And I say that because that is the paradigm in which women, who are 70% of the population, who are in poverty, are doing. There is a second shift, and there is part-time work. So while women are working, they're working part-time with less insurance, less ability to care, because they have to worry about who? The children. The children. Get them to school by what time? What time do you have to pick them back up? What job are you going to get? Okay? You're now thinking about the ability to earn fair wages, and you're talking about an industry and a society that's not valuing the raising of children, the raising of future, the raising of warriors to take on the fight that we have articulated here today. So we're getting paid less, expected to do more. Of course you're going to have these economies that are underground. Prostitution. Right? Yeah. I know some students going to school by day, sliding a pole by night. Going to get the diapers in the evening, coming back taking care of the man after midnight. Trying to find some time to study, because African women have the highest persistent rate when it comes to education globally. They're more likely to press to complete an education compared to all other groups. Takes them a lot longer, but they will complete it and press towards doing it. But in so, poverty is involved. Poverty consumes them. So you have this employment situation where women are getting paid less. We've had a global recession. Who's been impacted by it? We've talked about Wall Street bailouts, but we have not talked about the sweat factory workers that have worked to put the clothes on your backs. Women and children, outsourced labor who are now being shut down because we cannot continue to have this incredible consumption and greed. So women in poor countries, Cambodia, Thailand, Haiti, women who are feeding children dirt cakes with a little bit of oil to make sure their babies do not starve. And they said, how is it that this group did not go under after earthquake, after disaster? Because these women understood how to survive. They understood how to make dirt into food. They transformed what was around them so that their children can still rise up. Now, is that quality of life? No. But we have somehow forgotten about Haiti. We have somehow forgotten about the women in our communities right here. Blind eyes. Because now we think there's more participation. We have an election, as we know. Lots of women, lots of Palin cubs out there. Lots of women taking political office, but doesn't mean that a woman's agenda is covered. It just means that women are sitting down in a seat. So the issues that are relevant to me, I cannot give over just because you're a woman. And I think that is where patriarchy is finding its way, and we're now putting people in front of us because they have breasts and we're saying they are for us, so women, vote for them. That is not the participatory inclusion model that I think that we're asking for. Because what it does, it also undermines the capacity of good, lovely brothers who are struggling. And I think we become so specific in identity politics that we lose out on great ability to make those changes. So the political landscape may have more women, and I advocate that. However, just like Clarence Thomas, does not mean that you are taking care of the issues that are relevant to me. It's a very, very important point. And I think that some of us have lost sight of it. We, of course, know that there's violence that's happening. We heard the data and the figures and all of the different horrific crimes that are happening. We take our LGBT community. It's interesting that in brown people communities, whether it's Uganda, Malawi, New York City, Newark, where we believe that the gay and lesbian community are expendable, we have been silenced. We have been silenced, and we are not taking on that mantle to say that we don't know if that person should work here. We don't know if we're going to catch something. So there is further ostracization that happens as a result of sexuality that we don't want to talk about. We have global laws going on now saying it's okay to kill somebody because of sexuality. Laws that we refuse to look at and even address. We're silent to them. Making this an underground issue, further exasperating the issue of poverty. Gender and sexuality must be looked at in this intersectionality, and you have to also consider race on top of that. Because I hate to say this, but our white gay brothers in America who are well educated do not have the same life as our Latino gay brothers in Colombia. It's not the same. It's not the same, and we have stratification and hierarchy in all of these places. And I want to say this last point. One thing that's troubling me as we look at issues of human rights, I'm troubled by the fact of women pressing to embrace the identity of oppressors. Women putting on suits and thinking they are white men. We have demonized women's power and our soul and our spirit. There is nothing wrong with a little fabulosity and to be fabulous.